Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Welcome to another episode of Life with Shenita. We are grateful to bring to you this evening some amazing individuals who will share some wisdom, some knowledge, some experience in their areas of expertise. And tonight's topic is on health and wellness. So we're going to talk about it from different angles, and we're grateful that you are joining us again this evening. Life with Shenita's goals are simply to help others overcome life's challenges and to encourage you and anyone out there to live a vibrant life. And it starts with a decision. Last week, we talked about mental health and how it's important to have a good mindset in order to experience optimal health. And so tonight, we're going to continue our topic on wellness, and the focus is on health during this COVID-19 and beyond, wealth, fitness. And so I am going to introduce two of our guests this evening, two amazing women, and they will introduce themselves to you all. But before I bring them in, would you all please like and share this post, this live, so that others can enjoy the benefits of the discussion this evening? Like and share this live. And so I'm going to bring in Dr. Janine Beatty Gray and Alice Everett. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you ladies?
I always say hello, family, to all of you out there in family land.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So welcome and thank you all so much for taking the time this evening to spend with us.
You're welcome.
Yes.
You're very welcome. It's
Yes.
a humbling experience to have been asked
Absolutely.
to participate in this.
Yes, I'm just grateful. So I want to make sure that the audience get to know who you wonderful ladies are. And so we have again Dr. Beatty Gray and Miss Alice Everett, also known as Mama Alice. So I am going to start out with you, Dr. Beatty Gray, if you would introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, good evening, and thank you again for having me, Shenita. I have so enjoyed your other live programs, and so it was an honor to be asked to participate. As I stated, I'm Dr. Beatty Gray. I actually graduated undergrad from Dillard University and graduate school, pharmacy school from Florida, the Florida A&M University. And I have actually just recently retired from a major pharmaceutical company, and I had to decide what to do next. So I pivoted to, health does matter, and health has always been at the top of my list. And that's one of the reasons I went to pharmacy school, because I wanted to help the minority population improve their health. So with health mattering, at this time, it's really crucial that we take care of ourselves and we do better by ourselves to improve our health, not only seeing our doctor regularly, but also sticking with a plan, diet and exercise. And so I'm again so excited to be here tonight.
Yes, thank you. Fam, you rattlers.
Yes.
I love it. Thank you. And Miss Alice Everett. I want to call you Dr. Everett too.
That day is coming. That day is coming. Trust me, I'll let you know.
I love it.
But for now, I'll maintain my Mama Alice, AKA. How about
I
that?
love it.
Good evening, family. Again, Alice Everett. I am a graduate of the University of Florida. Go Gators! In business. So my background is in finance and business, and I had the fortunate career of having a financial planning career for nearly 30 years that I started back in '87. And from that, I am an ex-certified financial planner turned health enthusiast. So when we see so many of our family members, our friends, our people in the community experiencing such health issues, health challenges is what I call them, I decided to take that and then turn it into something that's near and dear to me, and that's health and wellness. So I pretty much have always been one to enjoy exercise for my own self. And with that, I decided to use that to help the family, and the family being our communities, mine and yours. So all of us are in this together. And as you mentioned with COVID-19, it is crucial that we look at health from a large dynamics, and we'll talk about that as time passes. So again, I thank you for the invitation. As you see, I have accepted. So, and as I said earlier, usually it's a little private clientele, but I'll take this on. So I thank you again.
Yes. And
Yes.
not only that, we have to give a shout out to Pensacola, Florida, because I just found out that you're from Pensacola.
Absolutely, the Picola. And
Pico.
speaking of that, I have to say that I give honor to my dad who transitioned on both my parents, particularly my father, because he taught me how to grow our food. I'm from a large family. And of course, when you're young, you say, I'm never going to do this. I'm going to the store. I'm yada yada.
Yes.
Well, I can't wait now to get my hands in some soil to touch God's earth. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
To grow some food. So
yes.
yes, yes,
Awesome.
yes, it
Awesome.
is. Thank
Well,
you.
it's just an honor to be here with all three of us are amazing Florida women. And
Yes.
so I just am excited for the audience to hear what you all have to say. And so with that being said, let's start out with you, Mama Alice. What is a health enthusiast?
Actually, it is a combination, I would say, of a health coach and a life coach. Because one of the things that I have found in my transition from financial planning to health and wellness is that when you change your diet, when you change
Mhm.
your mindset, you literally change your life. And you take on a different meaning in terms of what you're doing. You are more conscious of
Mhm.
all of that. And it's amazing that so many of us have heard food is their medicine. The Bible speaks of the herbs and all that God has provided for us, and yet we don't necessarily subscribe to that. But I think many of us are finally opening our eyes to seeing what it's all about, because it really is a life changing experience when you begin to allow food and the effect that food has on how you
Mhm.
think, how you breathe, how you live, so that everyday challenge doesn't necessarily become the challenge that you thought was a major
Yes.
impact on your life. And I think one of the things that I am so pleased to have the opportunity to sit here with Dr. Gray is to talk about the drugs and the prescriptions
Mhm.
that so many of us, of our family members, are finding that's on the table, when again we can look at
Mhm.
alternatives. That's not to say that it does not have a place for you,
Yeah.
but it should not be the 50-year I'm on, diabetes
Yeah.
pills, all of that. We have
Yes.
to look for what we already have in our kitchen. And I'm going to talk about that later on in the conversation about how you
Yes.
start. I didn't put it out there, but the name of the business that I started was Transition Kitchen. And it's really all about
Oh,
transitioning from a space in your kitchen. So we'll talk about that a little
excellent.
bit later too. Thank
Awesome.
you. Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you. And Dr. Beatty Gray, would you
Yeah.
share with us, the pharmacist turned health advocate? Tell us about
Well, I call myself a health advocate because when leaving my last company, which I was there for 27 years, I said, okay, how do I get back into a one on one conversation about helping others have better health? And so, as an advocate, I'd like to be able to share with patients what are the kind of questions you need to have ready to ask your clinician when you're at your appointment. Most times we get very nervous, or in the old days, the physician just told us everything. We never asked any questions. He starts changing meds, or just understanding what your condition is and what can you do health wise to improve it. Most times we never are asked about sleep. And I finished the last 5 years of my company about sleep. And sleep is so critical to so many conditions. You know, it's linked to diabetes, you know, it's linked to cancer, it's linked now to dementia. So poor sleep is very, very important. And no, most physicians, I won't say no, most physicians don't ask you, how are you sleeping? And if you say you have poor sleep, then they will say, well, let me give you something, a prescription for poor sleep. And sometimes you just need to change your habits about sleep, when to go to sleep, you know, turn off the TV, turn off, you know, your cell phone, you know, make it quiet, take a hot shower. So these are some tips that you could use to improve your health. But as a health advocate, you have to be in front of these patients that are attending, because as Mom Alice mentioned, you don't want to be the one to, you know, have dementia as you get getting older. You know, you want to live a healthy life. And in order to do that, you know, and I'm excited to hear about the foods and how we can change our eating habits and growing our own food. That's a big, big market and area of opportunity for all of us, because fast food was exactly what it is. Fast food, it has no health,
Real
you know,
nutritional
for
value.
no
Mhm.
nutritional value, but we tend to go there for that quick meal. And it
Mhm.
really starts at home, you know, with our kids. You can see so many kids that are obese at this point, you know, sitting in front of the computer or the playing games. And so I like to use my platform as a health advocate to help others to improve their health when, you know, accessing healthcare and, you know, being there for them to answer questions. And so, you know, I'm just excited about my new opportunity. Never knew that this is what I would be doing, but I've been asking God to show me what am
Mhm.
I to do next.
Yes. And you know, it's so important to be an advocate for self. And it's not easy for many people to advocate for themselves. So when you have someone like yourself and Mama Alice who can give you the tools or
Yes,
teach you or work with you or partner with you
yes,
to help you through that process, that's truly a blessing. So um, I'm glad to hear you use that term advocate, because I'm a parent advocate and I'm a marriage advocate.
absolutely.
And so,
Oh,
and I'm a self advocate.
yes,
So I
yes.
love when I hear the term advocate, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
I
And
struggle about what to use there, because, you know, health coach, well, not really. I really just want to talk to people
Mhm,
and tell them how to, I want to advocate for you,
mhm,
you know?
mhm.
mhm,
And I think that is
mhm,
such an appropriate term,
Mhm.
especially coming from your background. But the
mhm,
prescription medication, you
Yes,
know what that's all about. And
yes,
as we shift our mindset and become
yes,
more conscious
yes,
in our lifestyle and in our living and what we do,
yes.
you're able to educate your clients, your patients
Hmm.
on what they can do to slowly minimize, if not totally eliminate, with the care of
Yes,
their physician, of course, uh,
absolutely.
but the abundance, the amount of medication that people are taking.
Oh,
And so we definitely need to know, hear from you,
yes,
all of the things that you've seen, that you know about. You've dealt with doctors.
yes,
You've been in the medical arena
yeah,
for
for
what, most of your
years.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
yes.
I need to say for
So
years.
yes,
Right.
yes. So we need to hear what that's all about.
Yeah.
I simply know that just natural, it's not medication. The my children would tell me, here she go boiling leaves again. Well,
Oh,
whatever. You're gonna
yes,
take this. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You're gonna
yes,
take this. And
Right.
that's what it is. If we return back to the natural state that
yes,
God has given each of us
yes,
in the temple we call our bodies, then
yes,
we're on to something, because the body will heal itself. We simply
yes.
need to give it what Shenita just mentioned, is that's the nutrient dense foods, fruit and
Right,
vegetables, that we
right.
don't do enough of.
Yeah,
Mhm,
Proper sleep, water, air,
mhm,
breathe, people,
absolutely.
breathe,
right.
go
Right.
outside,
Breathe.
so,
Yes,
and exercise the body. So
Right.
yes.
yeah, absolutely.
And as we continue the conversation, would you, Mama Alice, share with the audience um, advice that you currently give your clients as they experience this new world of health, wealth? I'm
Okay.
assuming the health and the wealth is the wealth and the health.
It is all
Exactly.
in one. It is definitely
Mm-hmm.
all in one. And the reason I say that is because, again, coming from the financial industry for nearly 30 years, I can sit with my private clientele and say, okay, let's look at what your quote unquote budget is like. I don't even use the word budget anymore because
Mm-hmm.
chances are you're not going to stick to it. The average person. So I had to come up with a way to help them to recognize where they are spending their money foolishly, and that they can
Mm-hmm.
now start to buy the organic fruit and vegetable that they
Mm-hmm.
say is too expensive
Yes.
to purchase. Well, my
Yeah.
response is always, it's too expensive for you not to purchase when you end up at the hospital or
Yes.
on whatever medical care that's going to
Yes.
require much more dollars than that. So
Absolutely.
to go back to your question though, and looking at that, then it becomes, let's start with our kitchen. What is
Mm-hmm.
in your kitchen that we can transition to and away from? But I like to focus more on transitioning to, because that
Mm-hmm.
what you focus on is what you get. So we like to transition to, hence the name Transition Kitchen is when I started. So we like to look at what's in your kitchen. Let's look at what we can start eliminating: the cookies, the potato chips, the this, the that.
Mm-hmm.
People are generally amazed as to the amount of money that they are wasting. I don't even say spending,
Mm-hmm.
wasting on foods that have absolutely no
No
nutrition,
mash.
no nutrition to it. So we want to bring to light the family, the people in the audience, the community, what we need to do to make that mind shift. And remember, I said it starts with your mind. Food has an
Mm-hmm.
impact on your mind, your body, your spirit, your soul, all of that. And so when you look at what you need to do to make that shift, everything will fall in place. It's just like a puzzle. It will come together. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
All of us are so accustomed to the microwave era that we are
Mm-hmm.
currently in. So what I've done, probably for the past maybe year or two, I generally do not use a microwave.
Mm-hmm.
If I
Yeah,
could take it out, the kitchen, period, that would be good too. But yeah, we need to get away from the microwave
Yeah.
because of the ill
great,
effects that it
Yeah.
has. So it
great.
starts with the
Yeah.
kitchen, and
Yeah.
that's definitely where I would tell everybody. Let's just stand in front of your refrigerator and say, now what can I do without? Start
Mm-hmm.
there, even if it's one or two things,
Mm-hmm.
every day or every other day, but make a change, and you will see the profound effect that it will have on your health, your life, and the health of your family.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that I make cakes, pies, and
Oh yeah,
Yeah, if you
oh yeah.
follow her up,
Hello,
it's
hello.
blown your diet. Okay.
it's
The
so
kids.
unfortunate that I'll never forget. Years ago, I thought about opening up a package store, a liquor store, right? And I just saw it as an opportunity. This is years ago, and I thought,
Right.
you know what, that could really create some generational wealth for my family. Now,
Mhm.
looking back, it really would have,
Yeah,
but my conscience would not allow me
exactly. Yes.
to do it. But I'm
Yeah.
I'm I'm being honest.
Right.
I saw that as an opportunity to create wealth. And I'm sure it would have done exactly what I was hoping it to do, but
Yeah.
consciously, I was like, man, I could be contributing to somebody's demise, early
Well, I,
demise.
I think the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical industry would have loved you too, because with all of the liver disease and whatever else,
Oh
the
my gosh.
medication that they,
Right.
they would
Yeah.
Exactly.
need.
Hand in hand. Go
Yeah.
hand in hand, right?
Hand in
Yeah.
hand.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, so Dr. Janine,
Uh-huh.
Dr. Beatty, let's talk about COVID-19. We're here in this pandemic since March.
Yeah.
Really, I think since 2019, but okay.
Yes.
Um, and so talk about COVID-19 and the symptoms, where we are right now with over
Okay.
250,000 people that have died in the
Yeah.
United States, and
Yeah.
the rise that's taking place right now. Can you kind of help the audience understand the importance of
Yes.
what we're dealing with and what we need to do?
Yes. So great question. So I always just start with a basic question. What is COVID-19? We've heard so much about it, and news media, 1 minute they'll say one word and another word. So let's just start with the basics. COVID-19 is a coronavirus, and it's a coronavirus that has not been discovered or identified in humans until 2019, into 2020. And it did start in Wuhan, China. However, it is a virus that causes respiratory illness. And so that's why you see so much. Once you get to the hospital, most people end up on a ventilator because you're having trouble breathing. So, just to give you some of the symptoms, of very common symptoms, and I will let everyone know to continue to go to the CDC website. It gives you up to date information. And when I look back at March, when we started with this, there were just a few symptoms. And now when I, prepared for this, there's so many more symptoms. So there's fever, cough, shortness of breath, fatigue, muscle, body aches. I mean, you might think you have the flu, basically, because some of those symptoms are the same. But loss of taste and smell seems to differentiate this from the regular flu. But you also could get a sore throat and nausea and diarrhea. So it's a combination of symptoms. And you may, and like now for me, I may cough or sneeze. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm not getting the virus. No. But, we have to find a way to protect ourselves and our families from this virus. And wearing a mask is just one of the simple ways to protect yourself. It is a respiratory virus. So remember, coughing droplets that come out from when you cough, cough into your sleeve or to a tissue. But you have to be able to, protect yourself from someone else. And I would advise you, if you see someone without a mask, stay away from them, go the other direction, just because they're being very careless about protecting themselves and protecting others. It is just a simple way to do this. And avoid large audience of people, 6 feet apart. I mean, that's very simple to do. When I have family that have stopped by, we are adhering to the distance. We might elbow bump or
Right.
wave, but we have elderly people, family members, that we're also protecting. And I just want to also share, children are also can get coronavirus. And as you probably have listened to the news, several have passed from coronavirus. And so I'm going to pause right now because I know we have some other conversations about COVID-19, but I really would like to eventually talk about people of color and why we are so susceptible to getting COVID-19. So I'll pause right now, and you may want to, talk to Mama Alice for a minute to see what are your thoughts about COVID-19. And food is probably one of the biggest things I know I've had to cook.
Yep.
Since
Well, I have to say, Shenita, it's a Pensacola thing with this baking. So don't feel so bad. I am so guilty. Look, as much as I will have my green smoothies, fresh garlic, the whole 9 yards, fresh parsley, mushroom. I'm going to bake me some cakes. I'm
Mhm.
going to bake me some pies. I'm going to do all of that thing. Now, one of the things that I do not do, and it's been so long that I've added meat to my collard greens. So it's what I am a very big proponent of is take the foods that you love,
Mhm.
just modify them. You
Mhm.
don't have to have the entire pig in that pot for those collard greens.
Right.
You know, let's
Little
try
for
not to.
seasoning.
Yes, just go
Right.
for seasoning. Lots of onions, garlic, little
Yes.
seasoning. That you would be surprised as to how your taste buds would change
Yes.
as a result of that. So
Yes.
going back to Dr. Beta Gray with regards to COVID-19,
Mhm.
the immune system.
Yes.
Your immune system, for those of us who are fortunate to wake up every morning
Mhm.
and place our feet on the floor, we give thanks every
Yes.
morning.
Every
Before
day.
you do anything else, you thank God that you are still alive. And
Yes.
you breathe, you take time, you wiggle your toes, you stretch your arms,
Yes.
you do the things that you need to do to say, hey, body, you are alive. And
Yes.
you walk out and you step out of your bed, get out of your bed, and put your feet on the floor and give thanks and gratitude.
That's
Be
it.
grateful that you have another opportunity to do something different today, that day, that you did not do yesterday. And again, it helps. I remember I talk about this shift in mindset, this shift in consciousness. You'd be surprised as to what takes place in the spirit and the soul when you do that, because you now are feeding your internal with goodness and grace, and that's what we're made of. So if you have that cough, that's your way, that's your body's way of saying knock knock, do something. You may need vitamin C, you may need, whatever.
Vitamin D.
Drink
Yep.
more water.
Vitamin D.
Yes, yes,
Water.
go out in the
Water.
sun.
Yes.
Go out in
Go
the
in the
sun.
sun. Yes.
In your
Yes.
There you go.
I have mine.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and just enjoy
Yes.
God's beauty
Right.
in sun rays and sunlight. You need that.
Yeah.
We know that vitamin D pills, liquid, whatever, but there is no substitute for the outdoors
Natural.
that God has given
Now,
us.
I will say for Black people,
Mm-hmm,
because of melanin, we
mm-hmm,
do have to stay out in the sun a little bit longer,
mm-hmm,
because melanin does block the conversion of
mm-hmm.
vitamin D. So
Okay.
if you go out anywhere between 12 and 3, most times we're like, I'm not going out to that sun. So we might need to supplement if you cannot get
Yes,
enough
yes,
sun.
yes.
And vitamin D is very easy just to add to your, if you're eating, have oranges and natural
Yes.
things.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not getting enough, and what I learned too, a lot of physicians don't even look for your vitamin D level. So ask if you haven't had a vitamin D level done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Ask to see what your vitamin D level will be, and if
And you,
it's low, then you can supplement vitamin D because it helps
Okay.
with calcium and magnesium, the
Great.
conversion. So very important, vitamin D. And I learned also, from a neurologist years ago that most Blacks are deficient in vitamin D, even
Mhm.
those of us who grew up in Florida.
Right.
So we
Right.
used to think it was the north, less sun, but we're not going in the sun in
Yep.
Florida.
You're right.
You're
You're
like,
right.
get out of that sun.
You're right. You're
So
right.
very
Yes.
much a part of, what you need to do. And vitamin D is very important for
Thank
this
you.
time as well.
Thank you.
I
Shenita, you were.
didn't realize, the vitamin D was so crucial. I mean, I knew it, but you never really know when your body is deficient until it
Right.
starts sending you signals, as you guys said.
Yeah.
And a few years ago, I began to feel really, really bad. And when I went to the doctor and they did the blood work, my vitamin D levels was almost depleted. And so I had to be put on a prescriptive
Yeah.
vitamin D
Yeah.
pill that I take once a week.
Yeah.
And so you're right. We run from the heat because I don't want to get any darker. That's that old, I'm just saying,
Yes.
old mindset,
Get
not
out the sun.
understanding like you better go ahead and
Hello.
get that
Yes.
shade darker
Yes.
so that you can
Yes.
get what your body needs so you
Yes.
can, be healthy.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yes.
That
Well,
vitamin
it also, prevents osteoporosis.
Mhm.
And a lot of Blacks, we are not known to have osteoporosis.
Right.
Well, if
Right.
you're petite, sometimes, you do have osteoporosis, but doctors don't look for it because Blacks aren't to have it. Mostly it was Asian or white women. So
Right.
you really have to ask if you have not tested for your vitamin D level. You have to ask your physician for it. And they are just unaware. And I also learned that vitamin D has a lot to do with diabetes. And so people who have diabetes should really ask for a vitamin D test to make sure that because there is a link to diabetes as well, deficiency of vitamin D.
And in
And
the meantime, what I would recommend, look at your dark leafy greens. You got kale, you got spinach, you got collards.
Yeah.
You have all the good
Mustard,
stuff. Mustard greens,
Yeah.
absolutely. Go on, Pensacola girl. I hear
Yeah, that
you. So you have all of these green things that, it's just full of the vitamins that we
yes.
need naturally, that we're going to eat them anyway. But I'm going to also say, in addition to not putting the entire pig in those collard greens,
Mm-hmm.
please do not cook those greens from now to Thanksgiving.
Right.
So, because you may as well drink
Not
Cooking
the,
all of the
the
vitamins
juice
out.
that is in the
Yes.
water that you have cooked those greens in. So please, people, learn to pull back a little bit as we begin to become more health conscious
Yes.
about our life, our health, and our
Mhm.
bodies. Because we know, I've gone, you can't tell people how to cook their food. But when
Yes.
you're invited and you see that these greens are mush, I'm sorry, I didn't ask you for collard green soup,
right. Right.
and and I know that that's what our people do, but
Right.
I'm asking the audience to still to try to be conscious as we enter
Yes.
into the holiday season, as we begin to enjoy the festivities of our family. Think about health, and if nothing else, every time you sit down, you say thank you, thank that collard green leaf. Think that
Yep.
whatever, we won't even mention the cornbread and the
Right.
butter that goes on there.
Just for that day.
Right.
But
It goes
but
that
T,
day, but not every
Miles,
day.
I'm going to have to bring up now because there was a huge warning actually today from the CDC about us and being with our families for
Yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Right.
And they're saying do not, have family gathers for Thanksgiving. I actually looked up the information before getting on tonight, and what I would say and what has been stated on the CDC website is if you're going to get with your family, wear your mask, wash your hands, and the person who's cooking, make sure that they have washed their hands. I know we typically have like, did you wash your hands before you get in the kitchen?
Right.
And try and do that social distancing if you can, even within your own family unit, because the last thing you want to do is have a family member leave. And now we're actually going to go get COVID-19 tests. Before we get together as a family as well. Now, you take the COVID-19 test today; it might be negative,
Right.
and 3 days it may
Tomorrow.
be positive. But
Exactly.
at least you will know now that you're not positive before going. And if you are positive, then you do need to stay home and quarantine. But just use, really some great common sense about being together. I mean, Thanksgiving for me is the favorite holiday for our family. I have a daughter that was born Thanksgiving Day,
Yes.
Wow.
and so it's very special for me. Although she's in Houston, Texas now, and I hadn't planned on getting with her this Thanksgiving, but our family unit is always together, and it's going to be quite different. But we're going to actually have a Zoom call to
Yeah.
celebrate.
We
So,
are too. Yeah.
recommended that, and that way we'll all stay safe, and hopefully by spring or summer we'll be able to. But I'm
Connect.
definitely, wanting to make sure that we end this pandemic with our family units intact.
Yes. Yes.
Well, I
I
by
had
no means, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say I had the antibodies test as well as the um,
Viral,
regular test
yeah,
just a few weeks ago, the regular test, and they both were negative, and I want
yeah,
to remain,
yes,
negative,
yes,
and my family members to remain that way
yeah,
because, it's enough that we are confined, and
yeah,
then you have to deal with the loss of loved ones. It's
yes,
just not good.
Mhm,
yes,
mhm.
yes,
So I'm glad we're having this conversation and we're challenging people to find creative ways to connect with their family members because we're going to have a thankful toast at the end of the night on Thursday at 8 p.m. via Zoom.
yeah,
So
yes,
you've had your dinner with your family members. So
right,
let's gather on Zoom and have a toast and talk about what we're thankful for
Right.
exactly,
in the night
exactly,
in that way.
yes,
Better than not connecting at all.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
Well, I would definitely
Mhm,
encourage everyone still, again, as we are entering this festive and holiday season, that
mhm,
that we know is family season. If there's no
yes,
other time during the year, Thanksgiving
yes,
and Christmas are truly family seasons.
yes.
yes,
I, by no stretch of the imagination, am a medical doctor. So I have to say that, of course. But I would encourage you to look for various supplements
mhm,
that, along with your physician, that could
mhm,
help support that immune system that Dr. Beta Gray
yes,
mentioned with identifying just COVID in and of
yes,
itself. If we will at least be conscious enough and be disciplined enough, it's one thing to know what you need to do. It's
Right.
another thing to do it, which
Right.
requires discipline,
Absolutely.
and the discipline needs to be, I love me enough and I love my family enough to do the things that I need to do to support the immune
Yes.
system so that whatever this is that I am taking into my body will
Yes.
attack it and say, you don't belong in this house, you go away,
Yes.
you go somewhere else. So, in order to do that, that means taking the necessary prescription
Yeah.
through food, supplement,
Yeah.
water,
Yes.
breathing,
Right.
sunlight,
Yes.
all of those things. Those are just basic things that
Yes.
we can do that doesn't really cost a whole lot, but yet you are saying you are sending the love that you have for the people that are most dear to you, and that's your family. So
Absolutely.
those are the things that I would certainly advise people to start looking at doing as we approach. Next week we'll be here, like when you wake up tonight,
Yes.
tomorrow it'll be
It's
Thanksgiving
it.
in the morning. I,
Exactly.
I don't know how we got to November so fast.
Oh
That's,
my
Me
goodness.
either.
oh my
I
goodness.
Yes.
don't either. Like you close your
Yes.
eyes and bam, here we
Oh,
are in the
yeah.
fall.
Yes,
This
yes,
year
So
has flown by.
yes.
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 So as we,
Hmm.
continue on, I know our other guest is trying to get in and he realizes what may be happening. But as we continue the conversation, and hopefully he'll jump in before we end the show with
Okay.
some fitness advice to the audience, for the audience. But Dr.
Just
Beatty,
call me Dr.
right?
Janine. You
Okay,
can say Dr. Janine.
okay. So will you who's at risk for COVID-19, and can children get
Yes.
COVID-19, and how to
Yes.
reduce the risk of getting it?
Well, one, stick to those recommendations of course, 6 feet, distance, wearing a mask, keeping uh, exercise, foods and all that. However, anyone with any underlying conditions, and that's what is a real challenge for especially our population, is anybody with diabetes, hypertension, asthma, obesity, cancer, of course sickle cell now has been identified, and children, of course, having sickle cell, and of course going into adulthood. Obesity is really high on the list as well, and if you're morbidly obese, you're even more of a challenge, and will probably, succumb to COVID-19. Unfortunately, lots of people get COVID-19 and could get through the virus by themselves and, not have any other symptoms or whatever. But for people of color, I was on the other day, and most people of color or blacks actually are dying from COVID-19, whereas other cultures aren't. So it's really, really critical that we adhere to the guidelines, particularly if you have one of those underlying diseases. So don't take it lightly. And another one is chronic kidney disease, and having a high population of high blood pressure. Your kidneys, tend to go with high blood pressure all the time for a lifetime. You end up having kidney disease, and particularly you may have, get on dialysis or some other chronic kidney disease. So you need to really be careful. So anybody with any of those conditions, any other underlying conditions, really needs to be extra cautious while if they have to go out, and if someone is coming in, make sure we're still wiping our groceries down when we come in from the grocery store, the counters down. I don't put anything in the refrigerator without it being wiped off. Every time I get in the car, I've got hand sanitizer. If I can't wash it, my hands. And then for children, those who are obese, again, with sickle cell and any compromised, immunocompromised condition, really, really needs to be careful. So, and those are the ones that, will succumb to COVID-19. So be very careful with that.
Mm.
I'm going to piggyback on what you're
Sure.
saying when you
Yeah.
mentioned about washing the vegetables. There are two things that I use a lot of, and that
Uh-huh.
is baking soda and water, especially your fruits. Apples, oh my goodness, the pesticides that's on apples is you just would not believe. So
Okay.
please wash them very good, baking soda and water for your
Okay.
fruit as you do that. The other thing that I use a
Mm-hmm.
lot of is a unit for structured water. And the structured water
Mm-hmm.
actually is not the alkaline water. It's beyond the alkalinity of the
Mm-hmm.
water. Because
Mm-hmm.
yes, while we can eat the alkaline foods and all of
Mm-hmm.
that stuff, the water that we use for that I use particularly is a structured water unit where it literally looks at the molecular level of the water to make sure that the toxin, as you well know,
Mm-hmm.
faucets, the
Yeah.
city county water is
Yes.
not necessarily the purest.
Right.
It's
Right.
not running off the streams of a mountain here in Florida. So
Exactly.
as a result of that, you want to make sure of the quality of the water that you get. And I'm not necessarily saying go out and spend thousands of dollars on the bottled water either,
Mm-hmm.
because we don't know if that's faucet water or not when you really look at it.
Right.
So there are several things that you can do. I use, in addition to that, I don't know if you can see this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
Uh-huh.
in this water, in the bottom of it, some shungite stones. And the shungite stones purifies the water and cleanses the water that I
Mm-hmm.
use. And I always use glass when I do
Okay.
that. Pour my bottled water in a glass container and then
Okay.
put the stuff in there to help do that. So I say all of this because,
Mm-hmm.
again, when I look at my transition kitchen, it is simply taking all of the things that you have in your kitchen anyway
Mm-hmm.
and utilizing them to the best that you can, so that then when you go to your physician or your medical practitioner,
Mm-hmm.
you're at least supporting them in helping yourself
Yes.
before it becomes so chronic. As you're
Yes.
saying, Doc, the
Yes.
chronic illnesses, don't
Yes.
wait until it becomes a chronic illness.
Right.
It's one thing to have your body to say, knock, knock, you got a
Mm-hmm.
headache. Okay, something is
Yeah.
going on there. Take some peppermint
Get that
oil,
oil.
maybe with
Right.
a little bit of olive oil or
Yeah.
coconut oil, and mix it and put it in either your temple or
Mm-hmm.
your wrist, and you'd be surprised as to what that does. Apple cider vinegar, we all
Yeah.
know about apple cider
That
vinegar.
vinegar.
Lemon water.
Yes.
These are just some basic things that you need to keep in your kitchen at all
Mm-hmm.
times,
Yeah.
to ensure that you're at least getting rid of the toxicity that your body is holding. So if not all of us, I would like to say all of us are holding waste matters in our bodies that's
Mm-hmm.
been from last year, the year before, in those cakes that Shenita likes to send me. I'm gonna,
Tell
I'm
her.
gonna
Tell her.
put you on Front Street, Shenita.
She had the nerve to send me a message. Are you ordering cake? No. I can't. But I want you to go back to that what was that shungite?
The
What did you?
shungite stone, yeah. Just Google shungite,
Is that SHUN?
Shungite.
Okay.
Let
Okay.
me
Shungite
let
stone.
me let me put that out there. Let's see.
Yes,
Yeah,
because I
Shungite.
had not heard of that.
yeah. Shungite
Spell it
Okay.
stone.
again for me. Spell it again.
Shungite.
Okay.
Stones. Okay. And
Okay.
you get it from a health food store?
No, no.
No.
There's a lady here in Fort Lauderdale. I actually ordered mine from Russia years ago, though. But
Okay.
let me show you this. Let me see which
Okay.
direction.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now this
Uh-huh.
is a big one. I use
Uh-huh.
this behind my computer because it absorbs the EMF and also
Okay.
the negativity of the computer.
Computer.
Because of course, we all have like tablets, phones,
Everything.
Yes.
everything.
Radiation.
Yes, lots of
Mm-hmm.
radiation. So in addition to going outside with the radiation of the 5G tower, 6G,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to have 10G after a while. So
Absolutely.
you
Yep.
need to do everything you can to support your body, to
Yes.
protect your body
Yes.
from that, so that again, these
Okay.
chronic diseases and illnesses that you just mentioned, we
Yes.
can at least give a little protective covering over that process. So
Yeah.
use everything. That's why they say, my daughters would say, look, you coughing, you better call, that lady you call Mama Alice, because
Yeah.
she's got something in that
Something
kitchen that you probably haven't had before. But come on, Doc, we remember the days when we were younger. We took castor
Yeah.
oil, Father
Yes.
John,
Olive
Cod's
oil.
liver oil. was my
Oh my
mom a
God, don't even mention
teaspoon a
cocktail
day.
parole.
And
Yeah.
my mom said I would lick the spoon. I was like, really? At 2, but she said you never had a cold. So
But you
See?
know, I still have cod liver oil here at my house, and I was having a little pain on my leg one day,
uh-huh.
and I rubbed that area with that cod liver oil, and the pain just subsided.
I'm
And so
telling you.
I'm still an advocate for the castor oil,
Yeah,
the cod
yeah,
liver
Yeah.
cod liver
oil. Give
oil.
it to the
Yeah.
grandkids. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
everybody. Make sure that you have that in your house.
yeah,
Yeah. What's that
absolutely.
other thing? SSS is what is that? The
The
That's
three
just,
sixes.
black drop. Is it three six? Is it three? I thought it was
it was
SS
a cough
black
medicine.
drop or something, honey.
Uh-huh.
Look, all of those old school remedies. Go and find your grandmama and say, "Grandma, what's that stuff you used to get?" Look,
No,
go to the store and buy that stuff and keep it in your house.
The three, I hate it. Three six.
you.
Yeah.
They just need to call Mama Alice because when she said put it on the temples and put it on the wrist,
Yeah, yeah. I tell you,
Yeah.
because
she got some remedies.
yeah, because I get a headache, and then all of a sudden I remember. Even the hand wash that you mentioned, Doc,
Uh-huh.
I
Yes.
make my own hand wash with
You
the
do.
alcohol,
Okay.
the essential oils,
Okay.
some olive oil,
Okay.
just basic stuff. And so you spray because again, when you're buying these
Mm-hmm.
products from the store,
Mm-hmm.
they have so many additives in there. You don't know if your hands are clean
Yeah.
or not.
I
By the
know.
time they, because not only that, but the additives are going in your body when you
Yeah.
wash them with your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We know that the skin is the biggest organ that we
Yeah.
have.
Yes,
yeah.
So
it
what you
absolutely
put
is.
on it
Yeah.
will truly have an impact.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so
Absolutely.
yeah, that's some great tips. And I know that this hour is coming to a close, and I
Oh
want
my
to
goodness. It
yeah,
is.
we have about 10 good minutes.
Wow.
But I want us to kind of talk about before we close out. Um, I know Mr. Johnson is trying to get in, but he's still having a challenge. But how what advice would you all give to someone that's struggling with a fitness routine? Um, what would you guys say? As a coach and as a health advocate, I know you guys said a lot of great things, but what would you say to someone that's struggling to start and be consistent with a fitness routine?
I put it in my schedule. I mean, I exercise every morning. 9:30 I go walking. And I walk, 3 miles. But it's in my schedule. And then, like today, I couldn't walk early. So when I got back home, I did my walk. So I have it as part of my schedule, it's part of what I do. And I can really feel the difference when I do not exercise. And
Mhm.
another part for me is yoga. I love yoga, and it's the breathing and, getting your body in tune with itself. And it really, really makes a difference in stretching. And, and it's your time, with yoga. You're not competing with anyone. And
Mhm.
so I would say make it a part of your day, just like you make breakfast as part of your day, lunch and dinner, make it a part of your day because it does matter. You'll feel better.
Mhm.
And I'm going to have to always say, make sure you get good sleep because exercise
Mhm.
does help you get good sleep. Mama
Absolutely.
Alice, how about
Absolutely.
you?
Yes, and I have to say, Doc, I have been so lazy this COVID-19. I have been so lazy, but this past 2 weeks, I
Uh-huh.
actually started back. And
Okay.
the one thing as I'm looking at it now, I am so proud of myself for because you know what happens when you stop doing some, it's
Yep.
easy to talk yourself out of, and you're talking to
Yeah.
someone who truly love to exercise.
Okay.
I love the outdoors and to
Yep.
do my own thing. I find a park, take my
Uh-huh.
weights and what back in the day.
Yeah.
And people would literally stop me to ask me if I was a fitness coach. No,
Okay.
I'm just in my own zone. But
Right.
going back, I found exercises on Pinterest. So what I
Yep.
did was print it out
Yep.
and
Yep.
put it on the wall where you can do it when you walk out of your bedroom is right there. So
Mm-hmm.
that means do not start
Yep.
until 10,
Yep.
15 minutes, or
Yep.
I'll turn on YouTube and
Yes.
find
Yep,
just a basic 10 or 15 minute
Yes.
stretch, as you
yep,
mentioned, the
Yes.
stretch. but I do not want to leave out prayer and meditation. We have
Absolutely.
got to
Yeah.
get in the habit of just being grateful for
Yeah.
life. And
Yeah.
that's why I said to you, the mind, body, spirit
Yes.
goes hand in hand, because when we pay attention to the headache, the toe ache,
Yeah.
now the toe getting crooked and all of this other stuff, it's like now they're going way off. What is going on with this body? What's going on is your body is talking to you. God is
Yes.
saying, look, you got to fix this. I'm
Yes.
going to help you, because as I said earlier, the body will heal itself. But
Mhm.
we have to do our part with giving it what it's supposed to have.
Yes.
This body is supposed to move. And
Yeah.
for those who on their job sitting, even if you're working from home,
Yes.
sitting 8 hours a day, no.
Yes. Not
Get
good
up
for you.
and stretch.
Yes.
Get up and do something. I don't mean get the Snicker bar.
Yeah.
Get up and do something so that you begin to stimulate your mind. So
Yes.
yeah, we have to add that meditation in there. And I love the fact that you said you make an appointment with yourself. And
Yeah.
I know me. If
Yes.
I don't write it down, girl,
Yeah.
I'm gonna forget. That's why, Shenita, when we talk, look, you better give me whatever that date is, because out of sight, out of mind for me. And
Yes.
it's something about the art of writing
Yes.
that really helps support the connection of
Yes.
mind thought process. Okay.
Yes.
So write it down and then put something on your wall
Yeah.
in your room. If
Yes.
you're lazy, fine.
Yes.
But put that stuff on your wall so that you
Yeah.
can unlazy yourself.
Yeah.
How about that? That's
It,
my
yeah.
word. Unlazy
It's on
yourself.
my calendar, and my
There you
daughter
go.
always says, "Mom, you always do a list," because that keeps me honest when I do a list, and I
Absolutely.
check off what I
Yeah.
have to do
Good
each
for
day.
you. Oh,
Exercise is on my list.
good for
Right.
So
you.
yeah,
Good
that
for
works
you.
for me. Not everybody, but even the notes on my phone. Like if I'm like, oh, I'll write a note to myself on the
Yes.
Right.
phone
Yep.
that if I don't have paper near me, because of course
Mhm.
I'm from that generation that has paper. But I tell you, I've learned so much from Mama Alice here. I'm like,
Yes.
what else I need to get? Tell me something.
Coach Johnson has joined us, and we're going to let him jump in and
Yes.
close us out.
Wow.
Um,
Yay, Coach Johnson. There
We
you
have been,
are.
we have been looking for Coach Johnson from
For
here to eternity.
45
yes.
minutes waiting
I,
for Coach Johnson.
I
All right.
apologize for the delay. I was out doing some things, and I just tried to hurry up and rush and get back so I could join. And I've been listening to everything, and I agree with all of you ladies on what you're saying and everything that you're talking about. And it's it's very good that everybody's kind of like on the same sheet of music and kind of saying the same thing, that all of us are on one accord. Because some of the stuff that you all were talking about as far as the with the herbs and vitamins and things like that. And Shanita can attest to you that I'm a big health nut and exercise. And I just recently had hip replacement surgery, so I'm kind of recovering from it, but I'm doing well. And one of the things that I would like to kind of piggyback on is for as I heard you all talking about it at the end about some of the old remedies as far as cleanliness, and not just the external but the internal. And that's something that a lot of people have kind of forgot about, as far as we, like you said, we grew up taking castor oil, mineral, castor, and whenever you caught a cold or anything, the first thing your grandparents or your parents would say, you need to be cleaned out. And basically, that's one of the main things that you need to do on a regular basis, and that will help keep your immune system strong.
Yes.
One of the other things that I've been doing a lot of is taking, I don't know if you all did, I can't remember if you all said anything about it, was a black seed oil.
Yes, I take that.
Oil.
Yes, black
And
seed oil.
also you can actually get it. I know a lot of people that I've kind of turned on to it, they say they can't not stand the taste of it. It's like castor oil, everything. You can also get it in a powder form also, and mix it with a smoothie or put it in your food, as like some type of what is a herb or something that's in your food, on your salads or whatever. But what it does, it helps strengthens your immune system.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the things that I take a lot. I take it on a daily basis to keep my immune system up to help fight off any type of, not just necessarily COVID, but any other type of
Any
cold,
other,
viruses,
right.
and flus, and anything like that. One of the
Actually,
other
it comes in
main,
capsules as well. I have it in capsules,
right,
the black seed oil. Yeah.
but it also leaves that nasty taste in your
Yeah.
mouth also.
I stomach
But
that
if you
taste.
try in the powder form, it does not have a taste.
Okay.
But you can actually sprinkle it over your food like oregano and things like that. Oregano is another thing that's
Okay.
an immune builder.
Yes.
And one thing that I don't think that I didn't hear anybody say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is the air quality in your homes.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of us don't believe in it because we don't do it on a regular basis. And me and my wife, we was talking about it once, how out during the summer, all your parents and stuff, they would say, okay, we need to do a spring cleaning and we need to clean the house out. They will open up all the windows in the house and let air come through and freshen up your house. We don't do that now because we are so dependent on the air conditioner and the heater. So what we end up doing, what we need to start doing is actually incorporating like having a person to come into your home and clean your ventilation system out, vacuum it out, because a lot of antibodies, bacteria, viruses, and things like that has a tendency to get into the ducts and everything. Because if you look at, if you can go to your with their input and output vents, if you see dust on them, your ventilation system is jacked up. You need to have it clean on a regular basis, and you can contact any type of ventilation place. They'll come in and vacuum them out, and then they also put some type of cleaner in it to help it where it won't clog up so much. Another thing that we need to do, especially because I was just talking to my mother and everybody about Thanksgiving, is actually having a humidifier or something to that effect in the house where you're at, because I can't pronounce it correctly, but you all may be able to correct me, but it's like ozonator. It's an ozonator spray that you can, or oil that you can drop into your humidifier. And what it does, it purifies the air and helps kills a lot of germs and stuff in the air. But one of the old things that a lot of the my grandparents and great grandparents used to do was use turpentine to purify the air, to kill all types of bacteria and viruses. And that's another way how you can eliminate a lot of the particles and stuff that could possibly pass through the air, via the dealing with the COVID crisis that we're currently in. So that's one thing that I do here, and people are like, why, with my kids and stuff coming, why the house smell like turpentine? I said, it's because I'm trying to kill everything that's in here out. But, turpentine is a good thing, but the ozonator spray, it will help eliminate and destroy a lot of the bad stuff in the air. But air quality is one of the other things. And I know you all had started talking about fitness and exercising because most people that has contracted the COVID, most of them they end up being bed stricken. And from what I've been hearing from a lot of people and a lot of folks that I know that had it, they did not stop moving around, because if you're aware, most of you all are aware that when you have the COVID, it attacks your lungs. If you're not exercising your lungs, your heart, it will take control of it and it will destroy you. So even if you have it, you need to be moving, doing something. Even if you're sitting at home, just get up and walk around in circles in the house, so that you can constantly push that stuff out of your lungs and out of your, because as long as it resides in there, it's going to keep multiplying. It's going to keep growing and growing, and then it's going to take control of your whole body and attack you. But if you're constantly moving and pushing that stuff out of your system, constantly flushing your system all at the same time, and drinking a lot of water and stuff like that. A lot of people talk, say drink juice and stuff like that. But if you drink water. And constantly exercising and moving about, it will help help your body to help recover, because anything that's not, I always tell people, anything that's not moving and growing is dead.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
that's what you end up doing. But
I appreciate that. And I know we have 1 minute before 8. And what I'm going to do is allow us to close out. I'm gonna close it out, but I'm gonna keep it live. So just hold tight for a minute. So we want to thank you all for joining this evening. Thank you all for being a part of this conversation about health and wellness. And so there is wealth in health, wellness. And so we are hoping that some of the information that has been shared with you by these subject matter experts, that you will take that and make a personal effort to be your best self and those in your environment. So again, thank you. Tune in next Thursday. We will have a Thanksgiving show, Thankful Thursday. So thank you all and have a good night. So with that being said, we can stay live because you have I want to get some parting words from each of you. And thank you so much, Coach, for being persistent enough to be here. The ladies have done an extremely wonderful job sharing
yes,
their knowledge and experience. So I appreciate that. And I just appreciate you for coming in, piggybacking off of what was discussed and adding adding your value to the conversation, which we need to have another part 3. Well, part 2, guys, but this is part 2, because I had a wellness show before, but this is part 2, but really part 1 for you all. But there needs to be a part 2.
Absolutely.
So we'll look at that in early 2021 to get that on the calendar. But I want you guys to share some parting words, and we can start with Mama Alice with the audience.
Before I do that, Coach Johnson, regarding the black seed oil, there are also some black seeds that I have that you can use as a tea and let it steep. Take a spoonful of the seeds. For those of you who don't like the taste, and I always tell my clients, you are not in this for taste. Right now, again, I always talk about disciplining your mind. Set your mind on healing your body. It will heal itself. You're not taking this because it tastes good. Otherwise, I'd give you a Snicker bar, some chocolate cake, some banana pudding. So we're not going to do that on this one. This is your life. I truly believe that those characters that's in the Bible, with the longevity, the lives that our bodies can live those long lives, but they cannot do it in a toxic environment. That's the words you think. That's the words you speak. Our thoughts, our words, all of that is all in one. So please, in addition to going into your kitchen, i.e. the name of my company, Transition Kitchen, transition your kitchen as well as your mind, because your mind is embedded in your kitchen. And with that, I want to thank all of you. I thank you, Shenita, again, for inviting me. This has been a great opportunity that I probably would have talked myself out of, but I've had so many people over the years, because it is a passion of love that I do it with, more so than anything, because I know our community, our people, we need help. We need to hold our hands. We need to lock arms in love. Forget about all this fighting stuff. Eliminate the negativity and watch the magic that comes through your body. So thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much. When you say the mind, the transition in the kitchen, it starts with the mind. You are so right. So thank you for just sharing your heart and your gift with the world.
You're welcome.
Dr. Beatty Gray, would you share some parting words?
Yes. Well, it's funny that Mama Alice has stated, but about being grateful, because my signature on my email is begin each day with a grateful heart.
Yeah.
And so I have, been very, very touched and just grateful that I'm actually part of this session tonight. It has really brought all of the things that I have wanted to do over the last 6 months or so after pivoting from being, under a pharmaceutical company and having limitations about what I could do and say. And so for me, I always say health does matter. And it really does. And I want to live a long, fruitful life. I want to be around for my grandkids and all of those family members. I think of my grandparents who ate healthy, my grandparents have both passed on, but my grandmother had ovarian cancer, and grandfather had a neurological disorder. And you always wonder, well, if they were alive now, would it have been prevented? So sharing this kind of information, and I'm definitely excited about being a part of this panel, and hope that you would include me for the next one, because I just learned the knowledge that was imparted on this particular call. So thanks again.
Yes, absolutely. And before we get Coach in to share his parting words, Mama Alice, someone asked, is baking soda and water better than vinegar and water?
It,
Can you answer that?
it's a matter of preference. I use a lot of the baking soda, especially on my leafy greens. And the reason
Mhm.
I say that is because if you use vinegar, that vinegar is going to cook those leafy greens,
Mhm.
and you may not be trying to marinate your parsley or your spinach. So I would
Mhm.
use baking soda for that. And again, look into the structured water. And I don't mean to take it up, but one of the things that I do for my parsley and my herbs and all, in the refrigerator, I use jars. Put some water in there, spritz it with some water, and leave it and watch how long it stays fresh and illuminated. You want
Mhm.
life in your body. So give your herbs
Mhm.
life in your refrigerator. Okay.
Okay.
But to answer the question, baking soda specifically for the hard vegetables, fruit and vegetables, I would use that more so too.
Mm,
Hmm.
thank you.
You're welcome.
And Coach, someone wanted to hear a little bit more about your hip replacement. I'm not sure if if you're free to share that, but let me just share. I met Coach Johnson um, at the Carl Rodenizer fitness center, and I started working out with my friend Trish Lewis a couple of years ago. But we haven't been back in a long time. But one thing I can say about Coach, he is dedicated to fitness for his clients. And since we've not been able to physically exercise, he sends a exercise routine every morning
Uh,
with the word of the day,
Mhm.
so for the soul, for the spirit, and tips or exercise advice. So I appreciate your dedication to the people. That just shows how much you are dedicated to saving lives. And so I wanted to give you an opportunity to share, if you'd like, a little bit about, um, in your closing, your journey as a health fitness person who had to have hip replacement and what that's been like for you.
Well, my kids kind of call me the Bionic Man for a reason, and that's because they always say you just won't stop, and I don't allow circumstances and situations. That's not just physically, but mentally also, because to limit me is whatever I think that God, not think that I know that God is actually leading me to do.
Mhm.
It's nothing going to stop me from getting there. I'm gonna
Mhm.
run through a wall because I know the wall eventually will crumble if God is behind it. And that's one of the reasons why I put that in our little daily messages. I put the word for the day. And normally it's a word from God along with a scripture. And then I start add a little bit of like some encouraging words on how, what you need to do in order to, and stay focused and determined, and don't let people get in your way. Uh, Basically, my hip replacement came about from my years of being in the military, because I'm a retired disabled vet. And jumping out of planes, jumping off the back of deuce and a halves and stuff over the years, it just wore down. And then plus, while I was in there, I was I played basketball, and I was actually a track coach, and I actually ran track for the Army. So all of that wear and tear over the years just kind of caught up with me, but it's not going to stop me. So I went on and had the hip replacement, and I'm up walking and everything now. I had it on November the 3rd.
Oh,
I'm already up and walking and everything, and my doctors have already told me that I will be able to go back to what I do, which I am a actual high school and college football and basketball official.
Oh, wow.
So they told me I'll be able to get back out on the field and on the court in December. So in January, I'll be 60 years old. So they were kind of amazed at my recovery, but that's due to my diligence and determination of staying fit.
Right.
And basically what all of you all have been saying, and to your audience, what everybody has been saying, I actually do it. And bottom line is, from the apple cider vinegar, the cod liver oil, the castor, all of that stuff. At some point, I've done it recently. And one of the things that, and Shenita can attest to it, is that periodically, at least 2 to 3 times a year, I will send out something about cleansing your body, starting with your liver, your lungs, your heart, your blood, and everything. Because one of the things that one of my good friends that's a doctor in the military told me, he said, we have to treat our bodies like a car. He said, you have to constantly, you have to take your car and have a tune-up. You have to change the oil. You have to do this. And basically, our blood is like the oil. All diseases and everything stems from the blood. So people say they have liver cancer, lung cancer, bone cancer, whatever. All of those things are blood disorders. Fix the blood, you fix the problem. And that's both physically and scripturally, because for all of those that are believers, they know that life is in the blood. So with that being said, fix the blood. The way you fix the blood is you drink good water, you constantly cleanse yourself. Fasting is a spiritual thing, but it's also a physical thing. That allows your body to relax, get all of the impurities out. Once it gets all the impurities out, you heal faster and everything, because that's one of the things that I'm doing since I've had my hip replacement. After they took me off the pain meds and stuff to kind of help me get through that first stage, I started basically doing a cleanse. And with that cleanse, it's going to help your body heal faster. And it also helps eliminate a lot of ailments and a lot of things. And if I had known some of the stuff that I know now, I probably would not have had to have a hip replacement. But I'm applying it now, and my body is healing at a very rapid pace, because I'm just putting good stuff in. And basically, if you do that, you will actually see a lot of results. It helps with weight reduction and everything. I still eat what I want to eat, but do as my mother-in-law would always say, you can eat what you want to eat, but you need to do it in moderation.
Yes.
Everything in moderation. If you do it in moderation, you won't have the weight problem. You won't have the physical problem or anything. I still love chitlins and all of that other stuff, because that's what I grew up on. So, I do it, but I do it in moderation.
It's funny that you said that, Coach, because someone commented and said, I'm going to eat my chitlins.
Whoever it is, I'm going to eat mine too.
Well, if I could just add just one little thing to Coach, maybe 2 things. One, when you talk about the cleansing, there are blood cleansers, as you know, but if nothing else, just like we have seasons your body needs to have a cleanse every season, because fruit and vegetables, there are seasons for certain fruit and vegetable. You need to cleanse what the season that has passed. You need to cleanse your body so that it prepares for the fruit and vegetables that's coming. So the same thing. So I know 4 times a year is what I would prefer. But even if you just do it twice a year, summertime, wintertime, cleanse that body, do a cleanse on your body every season. And if not every season, then twice a year, just do an entire body cleanse, and you'd be surprised as to how you begin to feel. And I say that because as I'm looking at you guys, I'm like at age 64, and I'm convinced that I can live another 64 if I follow what Coach Johnson is saying and moving that body and staying away from Shenita's pies and cakes and all of that stuff. Then that'll help me out. But I gave
Do
up
it in moderation.
do it in moderation.
Moderation.
And that's why I say I don't tell any of my clients what they can't have. I don't do that.
Right.
It is a choice. But as long as you can at least, like I say, if you cleanse the body, then at least those chitlins won't sit in your stomach for 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years. Get them out so that you are ready for the next season's meal, whatever that may be. So these are just little basic tips, that you have in your household anyway. So take advantage of what is already there. Is just a shift. If we could make that conscious shift, you'd be surprised as to what we can do and how we can heal ourselves, our family, and our community. Because when you heal yourself, I'm telling you, the energy that exudes and exert out beyond you is amazing. It's a magical experience. What happens when you feel good? What do they say? When mama is happy, when the wife is happy, everybody's happy. So the same thing. So yeah. So that's what I was going to say with what you were saying about cleansing. You have to cleanse the body.
Yeah.
And I think too, the other part of that too, we need to also focus on our mental health. We're talking a lot about our physical health, and that's probably another show too, Shenita. But
actually, I had it last week. But yes.
Oh, okay. Yes.
But more to come on that too.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, with you saying that, Dr. Gray, I'm a PTSD patient.
Okay.
When I came out of the military after coming back from overseas, I had severe PTSD. And people say, well, how did you recover from it? Cleansing.
Yeah.
Focus, just like you all are saying. And just a lot of times you can't tell everybody what you're going through because they will actually destroy the energy that's around you and kind of take you down by feeding you a lot of negative stuff. You need to keep the negativity away from you and stay around people that are positive and people that always are looking for the better you. And with those people being around you and feeding that into you, that is the best way to recover from it. Because like I always tell people, if you had saw me, say 8-10 years ago and where I am now, it's 2 different people. And before then, I'm like I am now. And then after I went through all of that trauma and came back here, you start having all types of stuff. And like you're always saying, that's a totally different other show. But you can beat it through prayer, through by the grace of God, and through you doing a lot for yourself. You can beat it. Anything that I'm one of those people that anything that attacks you physically or mentally on this earth, you can beat it by the grace of God. Period. It's nothing too hard for God to accomplish. So that's my whole thing. Focus, be determined, and you can do it. Bottom line, you can do it.
I want to add this to, I pulled up a recipe for a cleanse with a cabbage soup. I don't know if any of you guys have ever made that cabbage soup. I've made it once, but I'm getting ready to make it again. And that's a good way to cleanse and detox the body. I wanted to share that with the audience, and they can Google healthy
Yeah.
cabbage soup cleanses or detox soups.
Yeah.
I want to share that as well. And I don't know if there's any other tips that you guys want to share with them, but that's
Well, it's some of the other cleanses you can do. You can do a 12-hour cleanse where you schedule, say, from 12 noon to 12 midnight. That is my eating time. And I'm going to eat in between that. And then from 12 midnight to 12 noon, the only thing that I can put into my body is water.
Mm-hmm.
That is a form of a cleanse. And I always tell people, start out with the lighter stuff and then graduate. You know, but some, and you just have to start with the little things, even with exercises. My mother always called me, what are you doing today? I said, well, I'm getting ready to do some exercise. Exercise? You just had hip replacement, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, I have learned how to do exercises on a walker. So, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And then that has helped speed up the recovery also. So people that are in walkers, that are in wheelchair, there are exercises that you can do to keep your health. And it's just not your physical, but it's your internal also, keeping that heart, because your heart is nothing but a big muscle. And all of us know that if you don't work your muscles, you get muscle atrophy, and then eventually muscle atrophy turns into a muscle stop working.
Yes.
And that's basically what your heart and also with your mind, both of them are nothing but muscles, and we have to exercise them on a regular basis.
And just to piggyback off the mind exercises, word search puzzles are great stimulations for that mind exercise.
Sudoku,
Sudoku,
yes.
So,
Read a
great.
book. Read a book. Read
Read a
people.
book.
I know our people don't like to read. We're talking about COVID. We don't know what may happen. What happens if the internet goes off? What happens if the lights go out? What happens if, people who've experienced hurricane, traumatic experience, trauma. Read. If you have no electricity, the one thing you can do, the kids don't have the cell phone that they can play games with. We must go back to encouraging our young people and us as well, our peers, get in the habit of reading a book. I don't know about you, although I have the computer, I can read a book on the computer. There is nothing like having that physical book for me in my hand.
Uh-oh. She froze.
You may have froze, but she's right though. Reading is essential.
So so read, get in the habit of reading. So just in case we have a little hiccup besides COVID, then we are preparing ourselves to do something different, and you'd be able to stimulate that mind in doing so. So all of those are good brain exercise as well as that selenium that helps with the brain as well. Doc, that's something else that will address, hopefully not even getting the forgetfulness, the real forgetfulness, that we call Alzheimer's.
The other thing I picked up on too is writing letters. We don't write in cursive. I actually had my 13-year-old grandson this summer, and I had my mom, who's a retired educator, teach him how to write cursive. And I was writing out some cards the other day and just writing in cursive. It just felt so good to actually, because everything is emails and get to write notes and things like that. So I think all of that, but I also want to make sure that I don't leave this platform without talking about sleep, and particularly for you, Michael, getting good sleep really does matter, and to focus on getting at least 7 hours of sleep. It's a world of difference. You have to really rest your mind so that getting good sleep removes toxins from your body.
Exactly.
And that's how dementia and Alzheimer's are really part of the entanglements that happen in the brain that is not released during good sleep. So that's also probably a different subject matter for another talk, but sleep is so important. And I know patients with depression, PTSD, and other mental disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar, sleep is, dysregulated. So it really does, help if you get good sleep. And
And
just how much you remember if you
you're
get
exactly right.
Mhm.
And that means sleeping without the television on,
Well, yep,
where
I
you
do.
can rest.
Yep.
Literally rest, because
Yeah,
sleeping with television and sleeping with things on, you really don't get into a deep enough sleep where your body can rest and also help your body to heal.
Yes.
Right.
Because if you're not sleeping properly, your body will not heal properly.
Yeah.
So just like you're saying, Dr. Gray, sleep is crucial.
Crucial.
Mhm.
Yep.
Crucial.
And it helps with the immune system. Good sleep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned that sleep, when my husband had his heart attack and was in intensive care for those 3 weeks, I was sleep deprived because of the trauma from the heart attack. And when I tell you, it was crazy. And when I went to the doctor and I talked to the doctor about what I was going through, prescription is what I received.
Right.
That prescription did not help me sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, sleep can just disrupt your whole life.
Yeah.
And adding on to that, what Miss Everett was saying, you can also get stuff like melatonin, tea, and have it at night before you go to bed, and that will make you rest so good. It makes you have just try it, and you will see the amount of rest that you would get and the type of rest. And also one of the other things is if you're snoring. People don't realize that if you're snoring, you're not resting properly, because the old adage was, when you hear somebody snoring, oh, they're in a good deep sleep. No, you're not, because you're depriving your brain with oxygen, which hurts.
Sleep apnea. Sleep apnea is dangerous. So that's the other bad part about snoring. You need to make sure that you don't have sleep apnea, because and strokes and heart attacks and all those really do occur at night. And so sleep apnea is a huge indicator, if you're snoring, that you may have sleep apnea.
Right. And it's also oxygen deprivation from the brain also when you're doing it. So if you see anybody doing it, you may want to be tested for sleep apnea or some form of sleep disorder. And also one of the other things that you could do, you could actually, and I didn't know it when my grandparents used to do it with me, is get that Vicks salve, rub it on your chest, and put that hot towel on your chest and go to sleep with it. And it opens up your entire head, opens up your lungs, your nostrils, and you won't snore. So that's another thing, like Dr. Everett, Miss Everett was saying, we have so much stuff in our homes that we can use, that if we would go back to some of those old remedies, those things will save a lot of our lives, and we could actually live to that 90 and 95, 99 years old and be functional at that age.
Absolutely. One of the things that I'd like to add to the list, family, is magnesium. Most people are deprived of magnesium. Magnesium will help absorb whatever vitamins, minerals, whatever you're doing. There is a liquid formula that I use. There's a lotion at night that I use, as well as a spray that I use. I use the spray as a deodorant sometimes, and especially for women around our lymph area, our breasts. We need to make sure that we use that magnesium in those areas to help eliminate or just don't even invite breast cancer and all of the things that goes along with it. And that's for everybody, because men have obviously breast cancer too. But use that spray magnesium. The one that I use is out of I think it's New Zealand. They do an excellent formulation on whatever that is, and it may look like a little crystalline when you put it on your body, but don't worry, a little tingling. Look, let it do what it needs to do. But the lotion one I do at night, that will help you to sleep, at least start that process. And that's why I brought it up, so that for those of you who are not getting proper sleep, you can use that at least as a starter. And then the final one is a powder form called Calm, CALM, and you can
Mhm.
get that from your health food store as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's some good stuff. I tell you, you guys have been a wealth of knowledge and information. I had the right team.
Look, and
And
I'm still writing stuff down. Like, oh yeah, that's it.
I actually have a pack of Calm in my kitchen right now. So tonight I'm going to have that Calm before I go to bed.
Yes.
And yeah. So I appreciate every one of you all for being here tonight. And we're definitely going to have to do part 2 because I know there's so much more that we can share from on a different level with the world.
Yeah.
And so on that note, I shared my 2 books when you talked about reading. Is Your House in Order and Abiding Love? And my first passion, Is Your House in Order? When we think about our loved ones, and I'm going to continue this platform and talking about it and making sure that we are handling our personal business as well as we're handling everything else, that we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, and we're making sure that we have our wills, we make sure we have our power of attorneys, make sure that we have our banking accounts set up with someone payable upon death, that we make sure we have adequate life insurance in the event that we are the provider financially for whomever, that they're well taken care of if something were to happen, that we have our funeral arrangements together. We've talked to a financial advisor and we have a game plan for our finances in the whole 9 yards. And we are running it from the grave when we do leave here, whenever that is.
Yeah.
So that's my gift to the world that God has challenged me to do as a result of me and my husband not having all of our I's dotted and our T's crossed when he died in 2015, and what I've had to go through as a result of us being too busy doing life and not taking care of life business. So I hope that for this holiday season, for anyone who is looking for a gift, that they will consider purchasing one or both of those books and sharing it with someone who doesn't feel comfortable having a conversation about end of life or preparing for that part of your life, that you take a second thought about that and really give your family members the gift of love. And that is to handle your business and leave a legacy. And
Could I add one other thing to it? And this is for any of you all, and if any other people out there in the audience that's listening. One of the things that I do, and I don't know if Shenita knows, she may, but I am, by me being a retired disabled vet, when I was on active duty, I helped process military people out of the military. One of the things that God has anointed me, I guess you could say anointed me to do, is assist veterans. And there are so many, and I'm not excluding white, but there are so many veterans, mainly Black veterans from the Vietnam era, World War II, that are not getting their VA benefits. If any of you all know any veterans that need any type of assistance, please have them contact me, via email or whatever, because that's one of my biggest passions, is helping the veterans get what they are entitled to. Because that's something that I have been doing since I retired in 2012, is making it my goal to make sure that any veteran that I cross, if they need any type of help getting their VA benefits, to contact me. And I'm sort of kind of batting 1,000, because every one of the ones that me and a group of my buddies that we've been helping, because like I always tell people, if I don't know, I know somebody that know. And if I refer you to them, they're going to help you.
Yes.
So if any of you all know any veterans that need assistance in getting their VA benefits along with their Social Security that's connected to VA, please have them contact me, because that's something that that's a heart-wrenching thing for me, to see people that are entitled to something that they've actually went and served our country for, and they're not getting what is due to them.
Absolutely. I'm glad you mentioned that, and we'll definitely get together because, for the military spouse, being me, my husband was retired, and we'll talk offline about that.
You're entitled to something.
Yeah, and we'll have this will be another conversation for us to have exclusively about veterans and their wives and spouses and so forth. So I appreciate you mentioning that.
Okay.
So with that being said, it's 8:34 and it's been a wonderful evening. It's been 34 minutes past my normal hour, but it has been so well worth every minute, every second. So I appreciate you all again for sharing this platform this evening. And I'm sure you guys will enjoy watching the reruns when you have an opportunity.
We will.
So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet everyone.
Nice meeting everyone.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody stay connected.
Yes,
Okay,
absolutely.
we will. All right.
Great
Thank you,
year.
Shenita.
Have a good
Thanks again.
Thanksgiving as well.
Happy
all be
Thanksgiving to you all as well.
You too.
Continued healing for you, Coach.
Excuse me?
Continued healing for you.
Definitely.
You're
Yes.
on it.
I got a lot more to do.
Yes.
She's not finished with you yet.
That's all right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
You guys take care. Have a good evening.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Shenita. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night, all. Bye-bye.